Good morning, Team Wilpers. Coach Lorri here. I have a broken blood vessel in my eye. Sorry for the delay. I don't know what happened, but I have a contact in there and I can't get it out. So here I am trying to read. And it's Friday. I'm very excited about Friday because I'm going to ride my bike this weekend. It's been a while. I've been hiking for the last 6 months. So hiked the Grand Canyon last week, as some of you know, and it was a transformative experience. It was fun and interesting and challenging and just absolutely beautiful. So, but here I am back to ride my bike again. So I'm excited. For those of you who don't know me, welcome. My name is Lorri Lown, and I am a 30-year endurance athlete. I primarily cycle. I also run, and apparently now I hike. I started rowing this year just for fun, and have been back at strength training for the last 14 months. It's been awesome. I've been coaching for the last 24 years. It'll be 25 years in December. And most of my clients are cycling clients. I also coach some running clients. And I've been part of Team Wilpers since September of 2020, when some guy named Matt Wilpers reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to fit bikes, and I had to Google him because I didn't know who he was. Now I know Matt quite well. I came on board as a bike fitter doing virtual bike fit all over the world. And then 2 years ago, I think, I took over the group coaching programs. So it's been super fun. I love Team Wilpers. I love everything we're about and all of our athletes, and absolutely adore Matt and working with him and collaborating. So this has been awesome. Also, as part of our team here, for those of you who have not met, we have an awesome support team as part of our Facebook group. Chris Finley Miller, she is our primary admin. She creates all the great graphics and makes those posts. And then we have 4 team leads, Matthew Welch and Maggie Craig and Will Jolly and Brent Hecker, and they are awesome at supporting all of you. So we are your team, and we're here to support you and help you achieve your goals. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, here, many of you tested your FTP on Tuesday, or you should have tested your FTP on Tuesday. And I know I froze. Sorry. Here I am back at the beach with my awesome internet connection, because nobody at the beach wants to be online. Anyways, so we test our FTP. Why is that important? It's not a report card. Let's just start with that. Many of you have heard me say that in the past. Our functional threshold power, and the reason we test it and the reason it is important to have an accurate FTP is because it sets our training zones. So our training zones are very specific, and if we're not training appropriately, we're not going to get the right response. So it's super important to have an accurate FTP. I have to do it too pretty soon because I haven't been riding my bike. So I have to get back on the bike and I have to test. But I'm going to give myself about a month of base before I do that. Anyways, we want to elicit the appropriate response from our training. What does that mean? It means I don't want to train too hard or too easy. And many of you train too hard. We know that, right? We think more is more. More is not more. More is not better, I should say. More is more. So we break our body down all year. Now we're going to build it back up. And in our base phase, most of what we do is low intensity. So we're going to do lower intensity, higher volume. This is the time of year when you're going to get the biggest impact on your FTP. You will probably, at the end of our base phase, have the highest FTP you'll have all year, because then you're going to go into shorter, more intense training other parts of our fitness. So super important that we take our base phase seriously and we train appropriately. We're going to increase our volume, but reduce our intensity. And something that's really important, I think, to understand is fitness is not a straight line. This is not linear. We don't just improve for the rest of our lives. Wouldn't that be great? It's kind of like aging backwards. That doesn't happen. Our body adapts to the stimulus. So we do something and our body at first actually has this panic response, right? You start training if you haven't been training, and your body's like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm sore, I'm tired. We have to make sure that we are training appropriately, right? So we don't want to do too much too soon, and we don't want to do too much in general. So our body adapts to that stimulus, and then we push it a little more, and we're going to hit plateaus, right? So adaptation is a plateau. That's normal. You can see it in your FTP. You can see it if you're an outdoor rider in your pace or an outdoor runner in your pace. So we hit that plateau, and then we have to push it a little more. So we are in the base building phase. And there are other things that affect this as well, right? So we adapt. We have plateaus. There are external factors that affect our fitness, such as injury or illness or travel or other commitments that create stress in our lives. So definitely not linear. And what we try to emphasize here at Team Wilpers is that we are training. We have a focus. It's not just movement. It's not just exercise. That's great. That'll give you some fitness and that'll keep you healthy. But if we really want to achieve results, we have to be very specific about what we do, be very intentional. So we are training, not exercising. And that's super important for us to understand, I think. So our base phase, lower intensity, higher volume, it's going to have the greatest impact on your fitness and on your FTP. And as I said, for most of us, at the end of the base phase, that's the highest FTP we're going to see all year. Then we start breaking ourselves down again. So embrace this part of your training. It is super important. Most of what we do in base phase is zone 2. And I know we mix in a little bit of zone 3. So when we are lower volume athletes, meaning maybe you're training 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week or under 10 hours a week, you may have a greater proportion of intensity just because of what we're doing. But try not to think of every ride as a hard workout. It's not. Embrace the easy workouts. And this is also the time when we want to work on our weaknesses. So be honest with yourself and think about what that is. What are the things that you avoid doing? Those are usually your weaknesses. So if you are not a climber, climb. If you're not a sprinter, sprint. For many of us, those weaknesses include our strength and our mobility and all of our imbalances, right? You ride a bike all year long and you end up being weak in certain ways. Right? Our hamstrings and our glutes are underutilized. Our shoulders, our chest, our back, our mobility, shoulders, hips, all of those things. If you're a runner, you become really strong in your hamstrings and your glutes, and your quads get weak. And you may need to do more stretching or foam rolling. So this is the time of year also that we start to focus on the things that we're not good at. Balance. Man, let me tell you about the Grand Canyon. It was very interesting. And it has to do with balance. So I did this hike. It's my first big hike. I am a novice hiker, and I'm with a whole bunch of really experienced hikers. And I have these interesting hips that make it very challenging for me to balance because both my legs point to the right. So I tend to list to one direction, and we are descending for 5,000 feet. That's a really long time, hours and hours and hours of going downhill. And after a few hours of going downhill, my balance was affected, like seriously affected. I felt like my hips weren't engaging right. And I actually said something to the trip leader, the guide. I said, wow, my hips feel kind of loosey-goosey. What's going on? Is this normal? And what I realized was my balance was affected. And she's like, are you okay? Do you feel nauseous? Are you dizzy? Is it neurological? Is it muscular? Is it biomechanical? I'm like, I don't know. I just said something. Are you unsafe? Do you feel unsafe? And I'm like, no. Although I did feel a little weird, so I kind of lied. Anyways, I made it down. And then on the up, it was super strong. But so what that was telling me was I had some weaknesses there that I thought I had trained for, maybe my hip flexors. That was one thing I felt a lot, glute med and hip flexors. And I wasn't sore. It was very interesting. I wasn't sore. My toes, the bottoms of my toes were sore from gripping, I think. But I learned that I wasn't using my trekking poles correctly. I wasn't putting enough weight on them. And I was putting a lot more weight on my quads. And so I was really wearing down my quads, and then all the other muscles started working. So for me, that was a big imbalance, which is funny. A cyclist has weak quads, but I did. So this is when we're going to work on all of those other aspects of fitness as well. So our goal in this program is really threefold. I've talked about this before, which is the pyramid of fitness. And the base of that pyramid is consistency. So right now we are building a fitness habit, whether that is riding 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 5 days a week or 6 days a week. We are becoming consistent. And that is probably the most important foundation of fitness. So we want to build a consistent habit. Then we want to create a rhythm. So we're going to train Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or we're going to have 2 rest days a week, and that's going to be Monday, Friday. We want to create a pattern that we sustain long term. So pick your pattern, right? Are you riding 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 5 days a week? And then once we have that rhythm, then we progress. And so you'll notice next week's training, we increase our duration. So we're doing longer rides. We're keeping the rhythm the same. We're keeping that intensity on the same days, but we're going to do some longer rides, and that is going to improve our fitness. So we don't typically improve or increase every aspect of fitness at the same time. In this case, we're increasing our duration, not our intensity, but our volume. We're going to increase our volume. So, and we're going to keep that rhythm the same. So that's base. Super important. Probably the most important phase of your training. And it's funny because a lot of people just kind of take off their base phase, and then they start with intensity again in January or whenever. So we're going to have a really strong year next year because of what we're doing right now. So big volume, a little bit of intensity. We all need a little bit of intensity from time to time. Try not to override your zones. We want to make sure that we're riding within our endurance zones, not above our endurance zones. Riding above your zones does not make you fitter. It makes you more fatigued. That doesn't build fitness. We want fitness, not fatigue. So here we go. We started this week. We have 8 weeks. We technically started on Monday, which in the cycling world is traditionally a rest day. So take your rest days. And if you haven't joined the challenge yet, you can still sign up. You can sign up anytime. Join us when you'd like. And you have the option of 3, 4, or 5 rides a week. And thanks to all of your feedback, we added what we're calling an express option this time too. So we have the option each day of doing a shorter ride, except on the 30-minute days. There's nothing shorter than that for us. But that includes our weekday rides and our weekend rides. So make it fit into your schedule. What I would say though is if we are trying to build a good progression, we want to be pretty consistent about the duration of those rides as well, right? So we want to make sure that, wasn't it a great week? Maggie said, awesome week 1. It was. It's just going to get better. So if we're always doing the shorter rides, don't suddenly jump up and do longer rides. If you add 1 day a week in with a longer option, or, hey, I got a really busy week this week, I'm going to do some shorter options, that's okay. But try to be consistent in your build. So we're always gradually building until we take our cut by a week. But yeah, you can choose whatever option you want daily. So choose wisely, my friend. What movie is that from? I don't know. Anyways, new approach to strength this year. So in the past 14 months of my strength training, one of the things that I've realized is there are a lot of imbalances that we have that are specific to our sport, which is why there are specific sport strength programs now on the Peloton app. But what I wanted to do with strength this time, first of all, I wanted to break down some barriers. So I wanted to create an opportunity for those of you who have not done strength to jump in. So we're doing more beginner level classes, and that's okay. And if you're more advanced, you're welcome to choose other classes that are more advanced. But I would say there is nothing wrong with doing beginner level classes. We're going back to our base, back to our foundation, right? And reminding ourselves of good form and good tactics for our strength. And the other thing I wanted to do was focus on some areas that I feel are really weaknesses for us. So what are those? Glutes and legs. obviously. We want to build the strength in our legs. It may add some fatigue when you're training on the bike, but it's going to make you stronger. So I would say do some glutes and legs, right? And then I chose chest and back because as a cyclist, I can tell you those are areas that really become imbalanced. Our back is overstretched and weak. Our chest becomes super short. And what does that lead to? Well, on the bike, it leads to postural issues. In life, it leads to postural issues. It can lead to discomfort. It can lead to dysfunction. So I specifically chose chest and back classes. We have one day of full body strength. That's great. And then I've added in some Pilates, which is going to help with core and pelvic floor and breathing. And then a day of yin, which is super restorative. So a little different focus this time, but I really wanted to make it specific to what we're doing and what we would like to focus on for the fall. So let me know what you think of that for your strength. It should be very focused to cycling and to what most of us will experience as imbalances and weaknesses. So beside that, what else do we have going on with the team? We have a new team on the Peloton app. If you haven't discovered that, go to your phone. I can't show you because I'm on my phone. Go to your phone, log into Peloton, and you'll see that there are now teams. And some of them are sponsored by Peloton. So like Matt has a team, the Move for Life team, right? And we have a team, Team Wilpers. And we hit a milestone this week, 1,000 members. That was awesome. So welcome, everybody. I threw a little challenge on there. So outside of our cycling challenge that you've all enrolled in, I made it really simple. It's not about who does the most or competing against each other, because as you know, Team Wilpers is about supporting each other and not necessarily competing against each other. But it's a challenge to compete against yourself, right? So it's easy. If you're doing this challenge, it's a gimme this week. It's 3 rides. Do 3 rides, you win. That's great. There's also a couple prizes, so which will be randomly drawn for those who complete 3 rides this week. Next week, I decided to mix it up. So some of you are going to be like, that doesn't apply to me, but some of you will be like, oh, cool, because I run too. So we're going to do a 3-run challenge on the app next week. And I'm just experimenting at this point, seeing how we can use this and how we might integrate it into our future Team Wilpers challenges. So sign up and participate. There's a good chat there. Matt pops in every once in a while and says hi. So for those of you who have been leaving him messages, he sees those as well. And we also have a Facebook chat page that we created. It's another group and we're dedicating that to chat. So if you haven't joined, I'll drop that link so you can find it. Picking up a little momentum gives you an opportunity to talk about other things and yeah. And then, of course, on the leaderboard. So we want to tag Team Wilpers Cycling. You can find your other teammates there and ride together. And yeah, that's about it. So the basics. We're on the Team Wilpers platform. So teamwilpers.com, that's where you sign up. There is a free 3-ride challenge. So you get 3 classes a week and a PDF with clickable links. And that just popped up on the Facebook group as well. Those are scheduled to go out at 8 o'clock on Fridays. So if you want all access, which I would highly encourage you to think about it because it's a much better program. Anyways, you get up to 5 days of riding and you get the strength program. And then you have all our other content too. So if you want to do a running program or any of the outdoor bike programs, those are all there as well. And all our historical programs. So all of the programs that I've developed are also in our archives and you can pick those up whenever you want. So if this challenge doesn't fit into your life and you want to do something different, click on over and you can join All Access and pick up a sprint challenge, a climb challenge, any kind of challenge. So All Access is just $9.95 a month. That's it. And I think that's about it for this week. So congratulations, everybody who's jumped in and is completing this week. Those of you who haven't signed up yet, go ahead, sign up. What's the worst that can happen? You get fitter and faster, and it's going to be fun. And throw your questions on the leaderboard or on the Facebook page. And I'm happy to be your resource. So let me know what you're thinking. Thanks, everybody who joined this morning. I love seeing you here. It makes it much more enjoyable than just talking to myself on my phone. And I will see you on the leaderboard. Have a good weekend.